Tonight on Localite with John Compton, nurse and freelance writer Lori Russell shares her passion for hearing and telling people's stories. Lori works 2 careers with the energy and success most can only put into one. All that and more tonight on Localite.
Lori, it's great to have you on. It's wonderful to see you again.
Yes, thank you.
It's been a long time.
It has, it has.
I've had the privilege of working with you in the past, or I don't know how many years it's been now, working with the magazine as a writer. And but I don't really know all that much about your past and some of the other things that you do, so we're going to find out.
Good.
So let's start with you're from like the San Francisco Bay Area, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Grew up there.
And then you went to nursing school at UCLA.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how did that end up? Where did the writing piece come in with nursing?
Well, I've been working probably as a nurse for about a decade or so.
Okay.
And I got quickly into hospice nursing, and I think I've always been interested in people and their stories, and that was one of the things that drew me to nursing. And so the writing really gave me a chance to kind of express some of that stuff that I was experiencing with patients. And you know, as a nurse, you're bound by confidentiality. We don't tell people what goes on with their patients, that kind of thing. And so the writing really gave me initially a chance to kind of just explore some of that stuff. I started writing short stories, and some of them were about topics that came up, you know, with hospice patients. Some of them were completely different things.
Was that at all therapeutic for you? Because I imagine, you know, keeping all of that kind of bottled up, the confidentiality rules and stuff, that's got to be kind of tough, especially if you're dealing with hospice patients.
Right. It was a really good way of dealing with it, and I was teaching a writing class today. I was telling the students, you know, it's okay to borrow from real life and change things up, and so I could, you know, take the example of a character from one of the family members maybe, and then completely change their lives or completely change the situation for them and work out some things in the writing. Right.
Well, then how did you end up coming up to the Gorge? Was it that direct from the San Francisco area up to here?
Actually, it was.
Was it?
And I started working, I was doing nursing and writing at that point, and I came up and I did some public relations work for the local hospital here, stopped nursing, and really was doing a lot of writing and work then, and then made a switch a couple of years later and went back to doing hospice nursing part-time and then doing more journalism, writing articles, that kind of thing.
So let's talk about the journalism piece for a little bit. Obviously, written for Columbia Gorge Magazine. Tell me some of the other places that you've written and what kind of things you liked or maybe didn't like about some of the stuff you wrote about. And
well, I've written for Ruralite magazine for quite a while. I started doing their feature stories for them, kind of a personal interest focused story each month, and then also started doing some of their energy saving tips, more specific things to the local utility. And I've written for Well Aware through the Mid-Columbia Medical Center, a lot of kind of patient-focused, program-focused stories, which fit with the nursing. And just a few other magazines, both local and kind of regional magazines.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you prefer the nursing over the writing or the writing over the nursing, or do you they kind of go hand in hand?
Yeah, you know, I've kind of done one or the other or both most of my career.
Really?
And so, you know, the thing about writing is it can be very isolating when you're not interviewing somebody. You're home sitting in front of a monitor and a keyboard. Yeah. So I found when I did that full time, it was kind of isolating. I needed to find some way to get out of the house and, you know, get dressed in the morning. So.
A reason to get dressed. There you go. So, well, nursing would definitely be that. I mean, you have to put on the scrubs.
Exactly. You got to put on the clothes.
Yeah. So when you came to the Gorge, that was around? That was in the 90s, right?
Yeah. Around 93. Yeah.
All right. And did you come here to work for MCMC? Was that
actually my husband was working for the National Plane Tree Organization at that time, and that was around the time that Plane Tree was being integrated into Mid-Columbia Medical Center. And so he actually became acquainted with them first, and then it worked out that they were looking for someone to help with their public relations.
Okay, okay. Is he still doing that?
No, he's doing something completely different, like many people in the Gorge.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So how has life in the Gorge been for you guys? I mean, you have a family, and you've been raising your family here.
I think it's been great. You know, when we lived in the Bay Area, we liked all the activities, you know, the cultural activities, but we also found, especially towards the end, that every single weekend we were driving to get out of the city, get out of the, you know, urban area out into the beauty of nature. And so now we live in it, and you know, 10 minutes away from our house, we're in all kinds of great activities. And so, and now we take, you know, an occasional weekend trip and get into the city and do different things.
Right. I know we're very fortunate in that aspect, being able to have a wonderful quality of life out here in the Gorge, and yet be very close to, you know, a major metropolitan area like Portland and an international airport and stuff. Now, do you still go back to the Bay Area? Is your family still there? Or?
My mother and brother, I have a mother and brother who are still there. And plenty, and friends too.
And lots of friends.
Yeah.
When we come back, we're going to take a quick break here, but when we come back, I want to really get into the hospice piece of your life. Okay. I've shared this on the show before. I had two grandfathers who have passed, both who were cared for during that time through hospice, and so I'm kind of near and dear to it. But I want to get your take on it, and you share with us some of your experiences.
Great.
So we'll do that when we return. We'll be right back.
Coming up,
I had an experience as a nursing student being on the floor at UCLA, and I had a patient that I was supposed to take care of, and at that time they didn't know what AIDS was, didn't know what was going wrong with all these mostly young men at that time, very healthy young men until that point, coming in very, very sick.